episode number 179. Another free year for $30. Recorded live Sunday, August 2nd, 2026, live from iTechGear Central. As I said, I'm Christopher Spera, the editor-in-chief here at the iTechGear.org. We have a full crew. He's back. He's hating the loud noises. He's the editor from iTechGear and the former contributing editor from Gear Diary and the late, great Pocket now. That's Mr. Chris Gavula. How are you, sir?
And I can't even blame it on something fun like a hangover.
No.
I can't even blame it. This is just
We needed you last week.
Yeah.
I know, but this is just my getting old aches and pains. You know, the stuff that doesn't go away all day. By the end of the day, you got a headache.
Yes, well, yay.
So can't even blame it on the good. Can't even blame it on the good stuff. But we're glad to be here and glad to be back.
And we're glad that you are back. We've also got the editor here at iTechGear and the former contributing writer over at Gear Diary and currently the host of the Linux Link Tech Show, Living in the Retro Arcade podcast, and of course, fitness for the rest of us. That's Brother Joe McLaughlin. How are you, sir?
Tired.
Thank you.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Mammoth March was yesterday.
Yeah.
And of course, the last 5 miles it poured down rain, and I had
and
mud.
Also probably your ass is probably dragging the last 5 miles too.
That's
Quite a bit, but
You
I
wouldn't want to
made
see
it.
the pictures of this boy either.
I made it, and it's a worthy challenge for just about anybody. So anyway.
Yeah. Well, you got through yet another one, and we're really proud of you. So keep it up, keep it going. And of course, last but never, ever, ever least, we have the editor right here at iTechGear and the former co-owner of WUGNET Publications. That's the Windows Users Group Network. That's Dr. Mr. Larry McJunkin. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, I think. After that, I don't know. At my age, though, it's rare that you that I encounter any aha moments anymore.
Well,
But later in the show, I'm going to tell you about one that might just apply to you and also save you a couple of bucks.
there you go.
There we go.
There
Yeah.
you go. In fact, why don't we dive right into that one? Because the right use case, the wrong device, and the lead times just suck. So what is going on, Larry?
Yeah, this is a three-part, 3-for-1 thing.
It's a three.
But I'm going to step right up and admit, online, on air, that I have been using an overpowered Mac for way too long. In my head, I've always, years ago I did need one, but in the last 3 or 4 years, I have not even come close to needing the computers I've had. And the same thing with phone. Earlier this year, I've already downsized one device. I swapped my iPhone 17 Pro for an iPhone Air.
Mm-hmm.
And believe it or not, it's probably the best thing I ever did with phones. I have never been happier with a phone. Use case wise, it probably won't work for you, but take the camera out of play. And if you don't give a damn about the camera, you might want to think about at least the next iPhone Air next March.
Right, because
But
the one that you've got right now, it's what we like to call in the working world Geffen, good enough for now.
Right. It is good enough for now. And it'll be a lot better, I think, when it fixes its 2 or 3 problems that it has next year. But more importantly, my 3-month-old MacBook Pro, M5 Pro MacBook Pro, 16-inch, is going to be soon looking for a new home. I'm downgrading to the base configuration of an M5 MacBook Air. Joel, you had this right all along. If I'd have bought that to start with, I'd have been happier. You know, typically the base models of all MacBooks are in stock at the Apple Store, but go down and try and find one right now. You can find the higher end MacBook Pros, but the shortages, I think, that Tim Cook has been telling us about are real. I figured I'd be able to walk right down and buy it. 4 weeks. It'll ship in 3 to 4 weeks.
So
you can't basic bottom of the line with the bin chip MacBook Air.
So let me ask you a couple of questions here, Larry.
Yeah.
All right. Can you go to the Apple Store right now and can you walk out of there with a MacBook Pro of any flavor?
You can. They have several. They have the 16 in stock.
Yeah.
With the highest, they keep like 2 configuration levels in stock. The highest one they had 0 13 or 15 MacBook Airs, not a one, not one single
That
Neo.
just blows
You
my
try and
mind.
buy a Neo, and they look at you like, oh, you're dreaming.
So
Because
you
those
can, all right,
things
so
are
you can get a
gone.
MacBook Pro. You can get a high-end MacBook
Right.
Pro. All right.
Now, if you are in certain states, that might not be the case, but certainly in the 20
tax-free
some
weekend is this
states that
weekend,
have
isn't it?
tax-free weekend,
Yeah.
they sold. I mean, I have never seen that many people at an Apple store. Never. Not on day one when the things
Wow.
released. There were like a gazillion people there. And I usually buy something there during tax
You do.
weekend every year, but I've just never. Their stockroom was empty, flat out empty.
It
But
echoed,
but,
huh?
but back one
Well,
more word. Go ahead.
we think we know why that's happening. We'll talk about that shortly.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris,
Yeah.
you'll tell us all about that. But the last thing I'd like to say was, if you do nothing but browse on the internet, piddle with a few pictures, check your email, and just do a few things, even if you do a lot of documents in Microsoft Office or Pages or whatever, you really don't need a MacBook Pro. And now that the things start about $2,900 for the big one, I mean, they're ridiculous. I mean, the RAM, I mean, the memory's gone out of sight. The SSDs that used to be $100 or so on every upgrade step, now they're 300 per level up as you go.
Yeah.
It's just out of sight. I mean, you have to be wealthy to own a big Mac anymore.
Yeah. You and I had a very interesting conversation about this earlier this afternoon.
We did.
Yeah. And I think we both walked away from that conversation with the following frame of mind. All right. Good enough for now is good enough, and it's probably going to go ahead and especially given the success of the MacBook Neo and the way that it is doing what it is doing, it has shown a lot of people that the MacBook Neo, or the very bottom entry level MacBook or notebook, all right, which is the Neo, is perfect for probably 90% of the people that require or need or say that they need or want a laptop.
I have set up probably 20 of these things for people. And Chris will tell us more about this later on, but literally, I mean, people who had Windows 10 that didn't want to go to 11, they're buying a Neo, going to Mac.
Yeah.
People who didn't need a MacBook Pro like me are buying it. But there are people who truly do nothing but go to Amazon and check their email.
Sure.
But they're happy with their.
And let's be clear, Larry. There's really only one reason you went with a MacBook Air versus a Neo. There's only one reason.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I literally was going to buy the Neo, and it was actually Gemini that talked me out of it. I didn't even realize it. I figured it would work. Gemini said, "Wait a minute, you want to think about that, because
think about what? Think about
what you're doing here, but." It doesn't have any Thunderbolt ports, and it only supports 4K with graphics, so it won't drive my Apple Studio display.
And that was the big thing. You had a specific display need.
Yeah, my vision is not the perfectest thing in the world, so I need to see clear, sharp text, and this makes all the difference in the world. I mean, even if it's a little bit. So, but you're right, Chris. For the large majority, the Neo.
Yeah.
And I'm using a Neo on a 49-inch ultra wide screen.
And you're a geek. I mean, you're sitting here
and it looks very sharp to me. And I have not been pulling my MacBook Pro out as much.
Yeah.
This is much more lighter, easier to shuffle around. I'm going to haul it away, go downstairs for a couple minutes, haul it back. I mean, the weight difference is substantial. That alone.
Sure.
Even selling my new MacBook Pro used as almost new, and buying the MacBook Air, I'll still pocket like probably close to 17, 18.
But I think the thing that we learn with all of this, and we've learned with the exercise of the Neo and whatnot, is that two things. One is Apple makes machines that are much more efficient than people realize. First of all, they do more with less.
Yes.
Than a typical Windows machine. And the same thing can be said for Linux folks, by the way. They do more with less as well. I want to point that out. But the other thing is that we don't, in general, regardless of what platform, regardless of what we're doing, we don't always need what we think we need. Our actual use cases, day in and day out, may not be what we think they are. And historically, especially in the kind of tech geek world that we kind of are in, we would buy the better, higher end things, the more decked out ones, for two reasons. One is because we're tech geeky kind of people and we think we have to.
Sure.
But more importantly, I think I know personally I've done it for the same. I grew up in Detroit. Okay, you sometimes will buy a car with a higher package on it than you want because it'll improve your resale down the road. So our thinking is keep the value of this thing as it gets older. Let's make it worth something more when we go to get rid of it.
Right. When we're done with it and we want to move on to something else, you want to get a little,
that was a
cash
good
back,
philosophy
right?
back then, Chris. But today with the Neo, it's not. Things are coming down.
And that's what I'm saying. And that may last and it may not last if the memory thing goes back, and if the prices go back, and we've said this before, they're not going to go back unless people stop buying. Then they will go back.
Only thing.
Right.
That's you got to have a driver. If there's no driver, then the prices won't go back down.
Yes, Chris, but that particular scenario that you're talking about, people not buying, right, is a real possibility, especially if you've got a Mac.
It is.
All right.
It is.
I've got a M1 Max 16-inch MacBook Pro with 64 gigabytes of RAM and a 2 terabyte SSD. And guess what? I'm probably not going to upgrade this thing for at least another 3 to 5 years. Minimum.
But you know what? It does the same thing as any other Mac there is.
Absolutely, it does.
In the M series, just about.
Absolutely, it does. And there's nothing wrong with it. And it's got extra RAM to do some of the heavier lifting things. And it's got 2 terabytes worth of storage, plus another 2 terabytes in SSD cards. It's got 4 terabytes of storage on it now.
My Pro, which again, the one I'm not using as much because I'm using the Neo, has 24 gig RAM on it. It has 1 gig of storage.
And 1 terabyte. 1 terabyte.
I'm sorry. Thank you. 1 terabyte of storage.
Yep.
And it has it's the M4 Pro chips.
Right.
So, so it's decently decked out. It really, really, really is. Yeah. And I pull it out and I use it instead of my Neo, and I go, man, okay. I mean, unless I'm playing something like a high-end game or something that needs the cycles.
You're doing something video-wise.
If you're a gamer, don't even think this path.
No. Well, you can. If you're a gamer, you're going to probably want to buy the high end of the high end of the high end of whatever platform you're on anyway.
Right.
But I find in my daily use, it's like, okay,
and even for your daily use, even for your non-daily use, rather, even for your non-daily use, when you've got something that you really want to push, the Neo is probably going to be able, or whatever you're using is probably going to be able to handle it.
It is.
All right. It may take it a little bit longer. It may huff and puff to get over the finish line, but it's going to get over the finish line, and it's going to do an okay job.
Well, and here's the thing: the huffing and puffing doesn't happen very often.
This is what I'm saying.
It's very uncommon, even in tasks that you might think are a little bit more. Yes. So it's a little surprising sometimes, especially when you realize that this is basically not quite an M series. It's an A series.
It's an A series. It's a 19, isn't it? Isn't it a 19?
It's on an 18.
It's an 18.
This one's an 18. They want to go to a 19 probably in the next version.
Okay.
But yeah. So the point is, it actually does. It does way better. We've said this over and over. It does way better than you would expect. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention.
Thank you. You did it your way. Thank you.
I did it my way. But the point is,
the other realization that people will come to, it certainly hit me big. I thought that I would take this on the road and use it. We went on our last week-long trip, 10-day trip. Never came out of the bag once, used the phone for everything I did on the whole trip. You think you're going to use the computer. You never
And
do.
I'm the same way as you, Larry, except for me, instead of the phone, it's the iPad. And it's all about visuals. It's all about the size of the visuals. Guy. But the point is that screen, it's just easier, more convenient to go click, and I'm done, and I walk away.
Right.
I'm done with quickly I had to do.
You're not going to use a 5-pound MacBook Pro versus a 1.5-pound iPad.
Right.
No. But the Neo is small enough and light enough
Yeah.
that throwing it in my bag, I barely notice it's there.
Right.
It's almost like my old MacBook 12-inch from years
Yes.
ago. Almost, not quite,
Yes.
because that's even lighter. That's even thinner. But
John Turnus, if you're listening, please make another one of these so Chris will be happy.
Yeah,
I
we need
love
another
those
12-inch
things
manager
so
book.
bad.
We need it. We
Give-
want another 12-inch manager book. And
it was a good device.
Yeah.
It had a limited processor, but let's face it, we can do much better with the processors now. We can do better with this.
Now you're right. It was an
You know.
It was an M series Intel processor, one of those mobile
But
Intel
it was
processors.
12-inch and it wasn't Retina. That was the problem.
No. And guys, I had the high end one, the 1.4 that was custom. You had to get it custom ordered.
Yeah.
They referred to it as the M7/i7, depending on which
Right.
Intel series you were calling it. And it was faster than some of them, and it had 16 gig of RAM, so
Yeah.
it ran very well. The only downside, guys, was that keyboard that people hated.
Yeah.
Mine was fine for me, but people absolutely hated that keyboard. If you had the better the screen,
keyboard. Yeah.
the screen was gorgeous. The processor was a little slow, but again, on mine it wasn't so bad because I had the higher end processor. But the point I'm getting at is if you could put one of the current processors in and put the slightly better keyboard, the newer scissor keyboard kind of in there,
Yep.
you'd have a winner right off the bat there, right off the bat.
Yeah. And what's really interesting about all of this
So-
is that it's because macOS is so memory efficient and so processor efficient. All right. It's good on your A18, A19 processor with 8 gigabytes of RAM. The newer one is, like I said, it's probably going to, you said, it's probably going to go to the A19. It may get 12 gigabytes of RAM, right? Just a little bit of a bump, but I think that's going to be the sweet spot.
I think it'll be a really good sweet spot.
It probably will. I really do think it will.
And it'll stay there, I think, for a while. You know?
Yeah, I think it's going to go there for a while. The danger is if they go there too soon, the people who bought the first generation will go, wait a minute.
Right. This thing hasn't even.
So you got to give it a little time.
Yeah,
but
you got to give it a little bit.
I think they will.
Yeah.
So let's jump into why people are liking these Neos and what's happening as a result of people liking
right.
Neos.
Because I was just about to transition myself. So thank you for doing that. Such a segue. The MacBook Neo is actually pulling schools away from Windows.
Yeah.
And Chromebooks. So what's the deal here, Chris?
Well, I mean, the title kind of says it all, doesn't it? Really, when you go right down to it, we talked about this when the Neo first came out, that we thought this was possibly Apple's inroad back into the educational market, which they kind of lost to Chromebooks and to a lesser extent Windows machines.
Well, I blame Dell for that. I truly do blame Dell and Chromebook for that. You know,
they do. And I also blame Apple for kind of neglecting the segment, which they somewhat did.
Well, they got out of it. They got out of it in the 90s.
Yeah, so. They did. But that was a tough time for them, as we all know. That was not a great time for the company. And they got out of a lot of things then.
Steve Jobs was never really a fan of the educational market.
No, he wasn't. But the funny thing is, you get them in there, and they become users as adults. I mean, they want they want to continue with it. So
that's the deal right there.
That was the argument. So here they are,
early.
And they're basically saying that something like 50% of the current sales of MacBooks into the educational market are districts and whatnot converting from Windows and Chromebook back into Macs, which is a hugely high percentage.
Right. And we'll get into why that's happening a little bit later on in the show. So
we will. But the point is, we've said this. The Neo is certainly a big part of that. It's a huge part of why it's happening, because it's at a sweet price point.
Well, it's at a sweet price. It's at a sweet price point, and it does a good. You wouldn't.
It does a good job.
Like you said in the article that we published on iTechGear.org a number of weeks ago. You will not know that you are not on your standard M series processor. You're going to have no idea.
Yeah.
It's a Mac like any other Mac is a Mac.
You would have to be doing certain kind of tasks to notice any difference.
Right.
Really
you know what? There's another aspect of that we might be forgetting. If you happen to be an admin for one of the schools, and I have been an admin for many, many years, and back even when I was with Windows.
Right.
If I had the choice of having to deploy and manage 500 Mac Neos or 500 Windows machines, trust me, there wouldn't even be a blink of my eye. I mean, Mac is so much easier.
In today's market,
market.
no. This is part of what we talked about.
Yeah, that's what I'm
This is
saying.
part of what we
And
talked about. It is so much easier nowadays to manage.
And they don't freaking break. They just work.
To manage a Mac is so easy now on an
Well,
enterprise network.
There's some nice enterprise tools out there now for managing Macs on an enterprise network.
Oh,
Very
God,
nice.
yeah.
Yes.
You can integrate into your Active Directory. You can do whatever you got to do. Those things are kind of there. So
Absolutely.
A lot of places, like I came from higher ed, of course, and I worked directly with higher ed. Right before I left Columbus State, the labs were being filled with PC over IP devices. So none of the labs actually had any actual real computers in them anymore. They had server infrastructure in the data center that would basically, and they even figured out a way to get Mac OS, or at the time, I'm trying to think, was it Mac OS or Mac OS S when I left in 2014? I don't remember.
14X.
Yeah. But anyway, they figured out how to get it to run too, and how they ended up doing that, because the iServe was gone by that point. They got the cheese grater Macs, and they had them all. They bought shells for the server racks and put them in the server racks, and that's how they ran Mac OS.
And quite honestly, I mean, on my Mac, even on my Neo kids, I have the Windows app, which is what used to be Windows, Microsoft's remote desktop client.
Right.
I have that, and the few times that I have to connect into a Windows device and run a Windows device, it runs virtually exactly as it does when I run it on a Windows device. It's the same basic interface, the same basic app. It's the same way of connecting, so it doesn't change how I do my work. The point is that the platform is much more capable of doing that than it ever used to be. And it's capable of working in an enterprise and being managed in an enterprise much better than it ever was before. So I can see why people are going there. So again, the numbers are showing that they're buying a lot of them, and they're buying a lot of them in schools.
Well, price used to be a deterrent, but no longer is that true, because the Neo is below price of a decent Windows machine.
Exactly.
Well, and for a variety of reasons, the Chromebooks aren't as popular as they were because they're really not that capable. And ever since the pandemic ended, the demand has been for more compute power than a Chromebook typically offers. However, what's going to be interesting to see, in my opinion, is when Google releases the newer Google Book. It's supposed to be later this year.
Yeah.
I'll be curious to see how that's accepted or not accepted. Either people are going to love it because it'll do, Android apps.
Oh,
and
it's either
else,
going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread,
Gemini.
Or it's going to be too expensive for what it is, and people are going to go, "What are you doing, Google?"
Nah.
I don't know which it's going to be. I don't know which way it's going to go, but it's going to be very interesting to see what happens when that thing comes out. I'm certainly interested in it.
I agree.
So, but yeah, this is why. So they're going crazy in that education market again. So good on you, Apple. You're back in education.
Absolutely, back in it to win it. There you go. So
we'll see.
And speaking of being in it to win it, we finally are getting some level of validation on one of the things that we said was going to happen with Apple. We said this back when they started really talking about the new upgraded Siri earlier this year with the start of iOS and with the start of the 27s, right? The 27s, right? Apple is planning on implementing some level of paid iCloud Plus upgrade requirement for heavy Siri AI users. And this is no surprise at all.
Not at all.
But you know what? To me, it's not really that they're forcing people. They have so many ways existing now that they bring people into iCloud Plus. Number one is Apple One. I mean, if you can't use Apple One, you don't have a very good Apple use case. I mean, it fits so well, and it comes with the
again. If you've got an iPhone, if you've got an iPhone, you're probably listening to Apple Music. All right.
And that one thing alone almost pays for it.
Almost. All right. But if you're doing backups of your iPhone, all right, you're using your iCloud account to back up your phone directly to that. It's real easy It's real easy to run out of space on the free tier, which is just 5 gigabytes.
It's funny. It's funny you say that, because that makes sense, because I typically bought devices with higher storage memory and
Right.
had a lot on them.
Right.
I don't back up to iCloud. I back up to my local Mac with that stuff. I don't like to back up to iCloud.
I understand,
for exactly that reason.
But most people, it's a Ron
Most
Popeil
of
thing.
us
It's a set
do,
it
we
and
really
forget
do.
it kind of
Yeah.
thing. And
but having said that, forgetting the backup capability, because that is an important one. It is important.
it is.
But what's more important is the thing you're not thinking about. The automatic syncing of your key features between all of your Apple
Everything.
devices. Everything talks to everything. I can copy on this one, paste on that one.
Right.
My notes are just popping up on all my devices. I don't have
Right.
to think about it.
Right.
All that
right.
thing
and
is
you
just
use
automatic.
iCloud, and you use iCloud to
And
store
iCloud is
all
the
of
piece.
that information.
Yes.
Right.
You know, I like
Yes.
to
And
think
even-
that Apple's solutions are not necessarily the best, but they're so compelling for so many reasons if you use their
I would
gear.
agree too. They're not always the most feature laden. They're not.
Well,
But what
well,
they
they're
do,
not.
they do well.
Yeah, and I think that's the point, right? What they may not do everything, but what they do, they do well.
They do.
They do.
What they do, they do well. All right. And yeah, and what's really interesting, I was recently went out with my wife and I recently went out with a family friend to celebrate her son's 22nd birthday, and she's like, Chris, I've got a problem. I'm out of space on my phone. I can't back up my phone anymore. And I'm like, oh, you're not out of space on your phone. You're out of iCloud space. And I said, you know what?
Yeah.
I said, I can get you, I said, for $1,
Yeah.
for $1 a month, I can go ahead and get you from 5 gigabytes to 50 gigabytes for $1. I said, are you willing to spend $1 a month and get yourself back into, all your photos backing up, all your, whatever's backing up? She says, yeah, that way I don't have to delete any photos. I said, that's right.
You know,
All
in
right.
all fairness, Google One has a very similar
They do.
setup.
They
do
do.
a good
They
job.
absolutely do.
They do, and it's if you're heavy into
It's-
Android and you're fully invested in that is
Well,
another
it's
one.
funny.
That
It's funny because when it
thing.
first came out, it wasn't that good, but they
You're
really improved it.
absolutely right.
Well,
They
they
have
took- they
really improved it.
They took a page out of Apple's playbook. All right,
Well, and it was the great thing to do.
and rightly so, I think. All right, because it does just work, and they're following the same kind of lead. But geez, just for $1 a month, you can go ahead and get 45 additional gigabytes of online backup space or iCloud Plus space.
And
And
as Larry
she was back in it
and
in under
and
30
as
seconds.
Larry will tell you, if you even have a use case for some of the other features like Apple Music or
Yes.
any of the other news or anything, just a couple of those things, you'll get 2 freaking terabytes of
Yes.
storage for part of that fee.
For the $38 a month.
Well, it's
that you
30.
pay
It's
for
39
Apple
now.
One.
Remember, it just went up. We'll talk about that. The rates went up.
Right.
on all that
Well,
stuff
I think I'm
recently.
paying like 30. I think it was like $37 and change.
$37.99.
I just paid $37 and
Yep.
change. Right. Just a few days ago. But the point that I'm making though
Mhm,
is
mhm,
it is and you've got your family sharing with all of that.
Yep, you do.
And you can share this with 5 people. That's a
Up to 5
huge
people.
thing.
Holy smokes.
And don't forget what else is in there is if you use all Apple devices, the Apple passwords are stuck in
Yep.
there.
Yep.
All devices, all your family.
Yep,
Shared
and that's
password.
kind of what I told my wife. She was
It's a little
complaining about
scary.
how she
And
can't
I-
keep track
you-
of her banking password, and I'm like,
But
you know what?
But you guys have heard me say this before. Those things scare me a little bit. I mean,
I
it
know.
scares me if Apple's doing it. It scares me if Google's doing it. It scares me if Microsoft is doing it. But the point is, it's there and it works very, very well.
It
And
scares
works
me more if
it-
I'm doing it. So I'm
Yeah,
going to
well-
trust Apple.
It works so much in the back end that you're not even thinking about it most of
Right.
the time. That's the good and the bad of it.
part
I
of the
guess.
it's part of the reason why Apple One is such a good deal. If you're invested in the Apple
If you're invested in there anyway,
ecosystem, yeah.
think about it. Think about it. If you're invested there anyway.
Right, but
if you're not,
if you're going to be
you
using
got other things
Siri
to do.
AI at all,
So-
you're likely going to get hit. Now they don't say
Yes.
what tier may be required.
And they're
Okay.
not talking about it with Apple One either. Is what will the add-on for Siri additional, or will that
Exactly.
be included in Apple One? None of that's being talked about
No,
yet.
but what they are at least confirming or at least acknowledging is that you're probably going to need some level of iCloud Plus additional storage because the
I
5
think if you
gigabytes ain't going
have
to
the
do you.
top tier, 2 terabytes, I think you'll be fine.
Yeah.
I suspect so too, Larry. I mean, they did just increase the Apple One pricing a little bit, and they're gonna and you're gonna I remember commenting at that point. I think Siri was part of the reason they increased those prices.
Yep.
And I will tell you what, I have been using Siri more and more and more on the beta, on the 27 betas
myself,
and I'm finding it to be a really good compromise. You don't have the model choices that you have in some of the other ones.
No.
But I'll tell you what, it picks really good choices more than
and
none.
it just does what you ask it. It doesn't try to be your BFF.
It doesn't try to be your BFF. But I've been reading that a lot of people are saying that.
It doesn't try to tell you absolutely everything. It doesn't want to be your know-all, end-all. But it gives you answers. It gives you answers to the questions that you ask it.
And I know it's not there yet fully, but I still use Gemini. I really do.
I get it.
I'm actually finding I like Siri better than Gemini for now. Well, I may change my mind tomorrow because I haven't given up on Gemini either.
No, neither have I.
I still use it as well.
Yep.
And the only one that I've actually given up on is ChatGPT. I don't use ChatGPT anymore.
Done. All done.
Yeah. So I will tell you. There are issues and problems with any and every AI.
All of them. I agree.
All right.
I agree.
My recommendation for whoever you are is pick one, give it a shot, stick with it, and then if it works for you and you're satisfied with the performance and the answers that you're getting, fabulous, stick with it. Until you're not,
my recommendation is similar, but actually slightly extended from that. If you can afford it, I would pick two. I would pick one, a primary and a secondary, because I like to check up on what the primary says sometimes. Because it doesn't. If I'm at all not convinced that the answer it gave me, I like to look it up somewhere else.
That's the reason I think we feel like a bunch of ESPN analysts here going around the table, but
we do.
What impresses me about Siri, it brings in things out of my email, off my calendar, off iCloud Drive. It brings them into its responses, and I'm going, what the hell?
It's pretty amazing what it can do.
Gemini will do that too if you're heavy in the Google ecosystem. It'll do very similar things.
Yes, it does, and it does.
And you don't have to ask it to do that; it'll just do it. So, which is kind of cool. So there you go. And speaking of Apple making the upgrade, a little while ago, just this past week, and I believe this time last week was the time that it actually hit and happened. And we missed it for last week's show, but
6.6.
Apple released the 26.6s, didn't they, Joel?
They sure did. I can say I didn't really notice any differences, but this is more security updates.
There was one major thing that they did. All right. And that it was in prep for the 27s.
Yep.
They made a change to Spotlight indexing to support.
Isn't it starting to do the pre-indexing to try to save you time when you come onto iOS 27 now? Gotcha.
Which is good because there were a lot of folks that got stuck in that loop right at the beginning of Dev Beta 1. They indexed for a good 5 days.
I will say that they've done it in some of the later betas, but it's never been really nearly as long as it was in that first beta. Never nearly as long. So this pre-indexing is good.
Yes. So
good
indexing in prep for the upgrade to 27, and indexing now so that index is in place. That new index is in place for iOS or Mac OS 27 or iPad.
And they made
OS
security
27.
updates to the neural engine.
Good.
In Apple Double, whatever that is. I've never heard of Apple Double before.
Apple Double?
Yeah. Available for iPhone, iPad Pro. What is that? Processing a maliciously crafted file may lead to unexpected app termination or arbitrary code execution. Well, that was fixed. And audio security updates. Wow. I didn't know you could have a security update with audio, but I guess you can. So,
Chris, I got a quick question that might apply to some of our listeners.
Sure.
and I surely don't know the answer, and you might. So I'm running Mac OS 27 on this Mac.
Yep.
The only way out of beta on Mac OS is wipe the machine.
Yep.
In my case, buy a new machine, start scratch, and then I got to add the beta back on
Yep.
after I get all my iCloud stuff down and
Yep.
my apps on. Will it make me re-index? Will it take forever to re-index?
Oh,
on
absolutely
that?
it will, because it's not
It will.
indexed on that device.
It's new. It's new on that device. So
But
yeah.
it's coming from iCloud data, which is not
No, that's
changing.
one of the places it pulls information from. It
okay.
also pulls stuff from your local machine.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, that's
So-
right.
Right. And that
Makes
and that
sense.
machine will need to be indexed.
Yeah.
All right. For the 27s. So you're either going to go ahead and have it hit with and start with 26.6. All right. Or when you upgrade,
Well,
get
I'm
the new
gonna
one and
I'm gonna
upgrade
put
everything.
26.6 on it and then switch back to the beta. But
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
I'll try and take note. It took 10 days before.
Yep.
We'll see
Yep.
if it
I don't
takes.
think it'll take 10 days again, Larry. I
No,
don't think it'll take that
they
long
made
again.
I think they made some optimizations and
I
changes
do
to the
too.
way they index, and I think it's
Good,
going to be a
good,
lot
good.
quicker. But still, because for me it was like 5 to 7 days. For you it was 10 days. For Chris it was 5 days.
Yeah.
But you guys started earlier than me too.
True.
I waited a few days before I
Sure.
got
And
on
they
that
did make
beta.
a number of different changes in beta 3 that improved on the indexing from beta 1. So
Got it.
Yeah.
so there you go. So if you've
Oh,
got
good deal.
right, so if you've got a current Mac and you haven't upgraded to 26.6, you're going to want to go ahead and do that now. You need the security patches, and if you're thinking about moving to 27, if you've got a machine that'll do that, then you're gonna want to go ahead and get 26.6 in so that you have your index completed before you get to 27. So there you go.
There you go.
Yep. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move us to our AI segment. And, it's really very, very interesting. There's a lot, this whole AI safety thing, this AI governance, AI safety, AI improvements, or people are really starting to take a long, hard look at what AI is doing and the way that it is doing it. And there are a number of companies that are really starting to make an AI safety push. And we're talking about companies like NVIDIA, SAP. We're talking about Adobe. We're talking about Snowflake. We're talking Elastic. Companies like Salesforce. Anybody that's heavy into AI at all in any way, shape, or form, they're all jumping on this AI safety push bandwagon. There have been a couple of horror stories. The most recent one, OpenAI and their AI that broke out of their testing environment and went and attacked Hugging Face, right?
And Anthropic just had one this last week as well. Same thing.
Right. And then one of their Claude things again. Man, they've been having a hard time. Anthropic's been having a hard time with stuff like with the AI getting out of hand. And what's interesting is that companies like OpenAI, which creates ChatGPT, and Google, which does Gemini, a lot of the new coding or the updated coding for the improvements to the AI is actually done by the AI. For Anthropic, the makers of Claude, I think their AI written code's only around 30%. Right?
Yeah.
All right. It's where everybody else is like closer to 70, 80, 90%, right?
And didn't Anthropic just recently, within the last few days, admit that this actually also happened in the beta for the one that just ate that company when it was live?
Yeah.
So they knew this had a potential. They knew
that there was a potential problem, and like the last couple of times, it developed I don't want to say a mind of its own, but it took initiative on its
Pretty
own and
much,
did things that
yeah.
it knew it shouldn't do. It was specifically told not to do, and it did it and how it broke out of its sandbox, got to the broke through the corporate firewall, got to the internet. All right. And it did all this stuff on its own. So it hacked it hacked the internal company, its company, and then it went out and attacked Hugging Face. I mean, oh my God. How in the world it
epitome
did
of
all that
rogue
stuff?
right there.
How it did all that stuff and how they allow, and what's worse is they know that this thing has a propensity to have a mind of its own and do these kinds of things, and yet it's doing it anyway. So you've got all these companies that are making, that are saying, hey, you've got to do these things, for your own self-defense, right? Anyway, you've got to protect yourself. You've got to protect your IP. You've got to protect your assets. You've got to make certain that your asset, meaning their AI, doesn't go out and wreak havoc upon the internet. So everybody's now getting on this whole safety push. This, to make certain that theirs doesn't go and go rogue. Well, I think it's about freaking time.
It's a little late.
Yeah. Like I said, like I've been saying, everybody did this ready, fire, aim thing with all of their AI implementation projects, right? Not knowing necessarily how they wanted to govern it, how they wanted to control it, where it should do, what it does, what it's going to, what initiatives you chase after with AI, et cetera. And nobody has been able to go ahead and say, hey, this
they
is
had
exactly
one
what
goal,
we're doing
Chris.
and why.
Get out there before the other guy.
Right. And that's what everybody did. We have to get to whatever it is faster than our competition. And so we need to get to market, with this product, that product, the other product that is either offering an AI or is AI enhanced. And now everybody's going, wait a minute, it's starting to do things that I'm not wanting it to do. Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
Now what? Well, now all I got to do is tell you, don't let the AI try to fix itself, because that's where Terminators come from.
What's interesting, like I said in the article you're talking about, though, is they talk about that all these organizations are involved in it. There's some big players missing from this, but despite that, what they're saying is really not very contentful at this point. It's very empty. And the problem is we'll have to see what they do and what they really say, because the reality is we've seen these kinds of, I'm going to call them initiatives in the past, that are just designed to deflect rather than actually solve a problem.
Than actually do anything or solve a problem.
They just want to make it look like they're solving a problem.
What's worse,
we have to be careful.
What's worse, though, is that none of this is standardized. Everybody, again, is doing their own thing. All right.
I don't think that's going to change.
Their own separate way.
They're all still worried about proprietary data, so I don't see anything like that changing anytime soon. But it would be nice to see if they could set some common parameters around, what it will or will not.
Well, again, I'm going to point to Illinois' newest piece of IT-based legislation, SB 315, which is the AI Safety Act here that was implemented in Illinois. All right. It is the first piece of signed legislation in the United States to actually put some level of governance around AI, and it's NIST compatible, and it is probably going to be used by every other state to be a template.
How much did that raise your taxes?
Actually, it should.
I'm being facetious.
Enforcement will
potentially. But what's nice about this one thing, though, is that it doesn't have sharp teeth, but it does have teeth. All right.
Well, we'll see. We'll see, because what hasn't happened is that hasn't been tested.
It hasn't been tested yet. But I will say this.
We'll see what happens when it's tested.
Any and every AI development company. This would be the Anthropics, the NVIDIAs, the Googles, et cetera, that are the open AIs that are actually developing an AI for sale. All right. Not necessarily the companies in Illinois that are doing that, but every other company that's out there that wants to implement their AI-based product in Illinois, their AI to a company in Illinois, it needs to be compliant with it. All right. This is not for Chris's utility company, or Chris's waste management company, or Chris's computer store that wants to implement an AI based agent or whatever as part of a AI implementation for their local company.
But it may apply to the developer who developed the AI code using OpenAI.
It's not a may. It is intended for the developer of that AI.
I suspect that, again, especially when you start talking about interstate stuff, it's going to be they're going to have a tough time enforcing, I think is what's, so it's going to be interesting to see what they do.
I think that there will be companies from other states that will challenge, but the point is,
I think that's exactly what
stands right now, the way I'm reading the law, OpenAI, who is out of California or somewhere on the West Coast, all right, when they implement ChatGPT and it's used by somebody in Illinois, they have to be compliant with SB 315, the AI Safety Act in Illinois. That's my.
I know that's what it says. What the question is, how will they implement, and how will they enforce it? We'll see what happens.
How will that be tested? How are they going to be audited? And how are those fines, if there is an incident or issue or problem? How is it going to be?
You know how this stuff goes. It'll all run through the courts. Probably the courts needs Texas because that's where all this crap comes from. But.
Right. But this also brings about another interesting issue and development, which is the rise of the solopreneur. Now and the next billion-dollar company. Now, what is a solopreneur? This is a one-person company. All right, this is a company that is staffed and run and made by one person. All right, and basically AI is enabling the solopreneur to actually exist and actually pull together, their dream job, their dream company, their dream thing, and actually make it a reality. And so Greg Brockman, who happens to be the co-founder and president of OpenAI, is saying, hey, anybody who has a dream, who has an idea, who wants to achieve something, if they have access to a computer and access to AI, they'll be able to do it. Just think about that, and that there's going to be a small handful of examples of people that actually do this. There's going to be more than one of these folks that actually do this, where they go ahead and they actually have that epiphany or epiphanistic, if that isn't even a word, idea that wow, we need to and it actually works and it hits and it makes them $1 billion, right? And it's the next gold rush, right? This is the next gold rush, right? Use that AI to actually just make your dream come true, your dream idea a reality. And the guy from Greg Brockman from OpenAI saying, hey, if it hasn't happened, it's going to happen. The American dream is going to become alive and well and accessible to absolutely everyone, as long as we have the computing power and the AI access to back it up.
Oh, that's interesting. That's exactly what they said at the beginning of the internet boom.
Yep.
It's exactly what they said. And guess what? It affected
that bubble is looking almost exactly the same, isn't it?
And it looks exactly the same as that bubble. And it only made a few people richer. Didn't really impact everybody. So there you go.
Absolutely.
It'll be interesting.
But there were a few people that actually did it.
There were a few people that did it. Yeah, there's always
kept their money and kept their money. But he's saying, hey, it's possible. It can happen.
It can.
And here's the tools that here's the tools. We're providing the tools that can do it. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see. But that is this week's AI segment. So I've got an idea.
An idea?
I got an idea. Let's move on to the mobile segment. All right, because there's some interesting stuff in here, right? Right, like
Well,
if you've
let's
got
just mosey
YouTube,
onto it.
if you've got YouTube Premium, you're going to be getting free Peacock.
Well, pre-ad supported Peacock. All right. Which
free
is fine.
ad supported. That's not free, but yeah.
Well,
if I got to watch a commercial, it ain't free.
It's better than what you had to pay to get ad-supported Peacock.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
For the same
Which
how
is
much,
not
how
that
much
much.
is
It's
YouTube
like-
Premium nowadays, Joel? You've got it.
That's a good question. I don't even remember.
It was
how much it
$15
is.
a month. It
I think
was
it's 17.
More now.
I think it's a little bit more. I think it's like 17, 19.
You look at Play
month.
Store. I gotta look at my subscription.
That's a good call. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't remember because I know it's on my payments and subscriptions. So
YouTube Premium a month is
it
$15.99
is-
a month.
Yes, $15.99 a month. And that
The
gets you
individual
ad-free.
standard premium package, right?
Right.
The
Yeah, that
family
gives you
version is $26.99. The student
Yep.
version is $9
How
a
much
month.
how much is Peacock ad supported? Like probably $5.99.
And I think it's $6.99.
Okay, that's $7. That just dropped your subscription price to YouTube by $7.
Yeah, so so effectively, yeah.
If you watch Peacock,
If you watch Peacock,
Actually,
I'm not a fan,
hold on a
but a
minute.
lot of people are.
yeah,
Well, Peacock Premium is $10.99 a month.
okay.
Regular, that's full premium though.
Let's see. $7.99 a month.
Yeah.
Or $79.99 a year. So
Right.
now, and what is really nice with that is there are a lot of, especially NCAA football, as we're getting ready to gear up for a tremendous season of Buckeye football. Sorry, I'm a Buckeye fan.
That's okay.
Anyway,
You can be a Buckeye fan.
but
We
regularly-
we feel for you.
Yes, we do.
yes, they regularly will have the games on Peacock and other services now. It's not like it used to be where you in Columbus you used to not even have to have cable to watch it.
Sure.
I mean, you used to
They do
be
the
able
same
to-
thing down here, Joe, with
Yep.
UT. They 2 or 3
Yep.
games that are key games. They put them on Peacock, make you get a trial subscription.
and
just
in
to
games
watch.
like the Ohio State opener against, of all teams, Ball State, please. That's going to be on the Big Ten Network, as I discovered this evening. But right now, if you're a football fan, you probably have, especially if you're NCAA, but you probably have Peacock Premium just for that. So now you don't have to. So I'll have to look and see if I even have that or not. But yeah, I appreciate that, and I don't mind watching the ads. The only thing that I will say, I think it was Peacock Premium. One thing I found with my TV, because I have a Roku TV, is I have to disable HDR because for whatever reason, I don't know whether it's for them or one of the other channels, but for whatever reason, when it's in HDR mode, the picture's all faded and really bad.
I noticed Hulu, I'm not Hulu, but Netflix has started something new with their ad-supported middle tier, we'll call it.
I didn't even know Netflix had an ad support.
Yeah, they do. They
They
just
added it,
started
yeah.
it. We used to get T-Mobile used to give Netflix free, full $15 subscription.
Well, you just broached a subject that absolutely drives me nuts. Carriers, stop bundling this crap.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
some people it's a good deal.
I mean,
Just
Well,
just charge me less, man.
Well,
Okay.
let me point out though, when we're talking about this YouTube bundle of Peacock,
Right.
it does not include YouTube Premium Lite. Does not include Peacock.
No, but what Netflix started
That's what they-
occasionally doing, they used to have one little 30-second ad every now and then, didn't bother anything. Now you got 3-minute ads back to back every 20 minutes. And now
Yeah.
it's just not
Oh,
worth it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
YouTube does the same thing though. They run a lot more ads than they used to run. So does
Yeah.
Amazon. So do all of them.
Well, all of them, yeah, they're all trying to they're not cover the costs of implementing the service, which is really what you should do with the advertising. They're actually trying to make money, actually make profit off the advertising.
On
So
top
not only
of
they're making
charging
profit
you
off of
for
the
the app.
subscription, but they're trying to make money off the advertising too. The advertisers used to be able to go ahead and just enable the the network, if you will, to be on, right?
Can you
On the
spell
air.
greed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
corporate
again,
greed,
they're all.
Wall Street greed has kicked in.
Oh yeah.
So
Anyway.
Well, this is
Anyway.
going to do, and so again, we all went crazy with cable. We kept adding channels, and then price went up and up and up and up. And we said, we can't take this anymore. We blew it all apart,
Right.
with all these different streaming services ultimately. And what are we doing now, kids? We're
doing the
bundling
same
it all
freaking thing with
back
streaming.
together and then getting back to the same pricing model, because that's what we do.
Right. We tend to repeat ourselves, and so that's
tend to
kind of
repeat
sort of what we're
ourselves.
doing. So wonderful that we're getting Peacock with YouTube Premium, but you're going to get that with your standard individual premium, which is $15.99 a month or $16 a month.
Yeah.
You're going to it's available on Family, which is $27 a month. It may be available for students at $9 a month with annual verification required. All right. In other words, you have to have your you got to do it with your EDU based email. All right. So that they know that you're actually at a qualifying university.
But some schools will allow certain degrees to keep their EDU mail.
Yep. And that's all I'm
True.
saying. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, my daughter's still got hers, and
Yep.
came with her doctorate lifetime.
Sometimes it requires more than just the email, though, to prove it. So it depends. I don't know what their particular authentication mechanism is, but
well, it's probably through ID.me, and it's really just ID. As I recall, and I could be wrong. As I recall, they just needed to have the .edu email.
Yeah, it depends on what it is. Some that's all they care, and some they care about more.
So,
Depends.
Anyway,
gotcha.
But yeah. Moving on. Chris, I think this next one is really kind of near and dear to both you and I.
It is.
Wasn't it Zach over at Windows Central who's saying
who
did a bit piece or an editorial piece on did Microsoft quit the Surface Duo too quickly, especially based on the introduction of the wide version of the Galaxy.
Now it's where everybody's going.
So let's remind people there's a couple of things going on before we get into the meat of this particular story. There's a couple of things happening here. Samsung just released their Fold 8 and their Fold 8 Ultra.
Yeah.
Fold 8 Ultra is essentially what used to be the Fold line, modified up and improved a little bit. What they're calling the base Fold 8 is a new form factor for them. It's a new form factor that's more of a wide, squat, less tall kind of device, more of a book type device. And so and this is also, by the way, what it's been said that Apple is going to with their new Apple Fold device when it comes out.
Whatever it's called, whether
Fold
it's called
Ultra,
the iPhone Ultra or the iPhone
Ultra, whatever
Fold
it's
or
called.
whatever.
But that's what they're saying this is going to be, and it's all based on screens that Samsung helped develop and all that kind of happy.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is sort of the background of what's leading to this conversation. So what he's saying is that all this proves, Samsung doing this proves, and that they've had some success, by the way. It looks like there's some early success with this form factor. They're saying, hey, Microsoft was wrong to give up on the Duo, which basically had this form factor.
Which is that big, wide form factor.
It's the big, wide form factor,
yeah.
But it was done at a time where we couldn't do a big folding screen, so it had two separate smaller screens. That were side by side. That married each other, right? Like one big screen,
and allowed continuity between the two screens.
So there were some things that are similar, some things that are different, and he kind of points out some of those things. He kind of neglects. He kind of says that was the only way it was done until Samsung came out with this. That's not true. Google did it with the Pixel Fold. They had the same form factor.
The original Fold was a wide form factor.
Yeah, he kind of ignored that, but it was the same kind of wide format thing going on. And yeah, it's having kind of a resurgence. The form factor is definitely having a resurgence right now. There's no question about that. And that's all that's very nice to see. I like the form factor, Chris. You like the form factor. I think that Samsung made some compromises with the device.
Yeah.
Now, I also think there's two things I think that we have to think about with this particular Duo 3 kind of, should we have gone there? Should Microsoft have stuck with it? They were going to go to a single screen kind of version, which is what everybody's doing now.
Yep.
And I don't know that they could have made. I think they were a little too early, for lack of a better description.
I think you're right.
Should they have stuck with it? Maybe not.
The device is with two separate screens, the device is not bad. All right.
It is not bad.
Especially when you can have a single app span both screens at the same time. It's, you know.
And it did some automatic launching when you didn't have to think about multitasking. It was much more automatic.
It did some screen snapping on either, on either screen. It did a full 360 fold, which is kind of cool. The only problem is that you had screen on, when you did the 360 fold, you had screen on both sides.
Yeah,
so
you did.
You were always touching a screen, which could have been
you would never leave it that. Yeah, you'd never leave it that way. It had a lot of. It had some good things and some bad things. I mean, there's some choices, compromises that are made when you do that kind of format.
Well, sure. Well, there's compromises with any form factor, but yeah,
absolutely true. And we're seeing the same thing with this new Z Fold 8. It has some compromises with their form factor. They gave up again. They gave up one of the camera things, which is one of the things I've raised as potentially a problem with the new iPhone. Folding device. If they gave up too much with the camera, people aren't going to like it.
Right.
There's some compromises that happen here. You may not have wireless charging, for example. You may not have that.
You may not, especially on the iPhone
those are
version.
Things.
Yeah.
Hard to know where we're going to land. The point is, he's thinking maybe they shouldn't have given up on it. I kind of disagree with that. I think they were too early to the market with this stuff. I think people weren't ready for this. They didn't understand what it was about. They didn't understand the productivity. Folds were new,
folding devices were new. There, Samsung did have their version of the fold out, and this came actually as a potential answer to the original Samsung Fold. The problem here was that there weren't a lot of apps that were dual screen aware.
True.
All right.
True.
There was one app that you and I both are really up on, and that is actually the Kindle app, right?
Well, and it
did
learned
one
how
page
to split.
on each screen.
It did, which some of these newer folds don't do.
No, they don't.
Like they did on the Kindle, like I did on the Duo, which was kind of interesting. That I don't know why they didn't do it, but they didn't do it that same way. I really appreciated that it did it that way. It was a brilliant implementation.
Well, it was.
Really
it actually read like a book.
I'm atypical, but I like the two screens that the Duo had. I really did. I did
too. I did too.
A lot of people
the funny
didn't
thing
like
is,
that. But
when you were trying to use it as if it was a single screen, like to watch a movie or something like that, your brain actually kind of shut out the middle. You really didn't notice it after a few seconds. It wasn't perfect. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to pretend it was. But you did learn to kind of shut it out.
But for me, it's a whole different thing. With a Samsung or with the Ultra, I'm always going to be looking for the crease,
I know.
And
but you don't have to worry about it with the Duo. They didn't have one.
It didn't have a crease, but it did have a gap, and
the
brain is going to do the same thing with the gap that it did that you're doing with the crease.
I find the same thing's true. I don't notice the crease after a few seconds either. But I will say that they did. Again, the Duo was a really great device for the time, and I appreciate what they're trying to do now with the comeback on these things. And I'm going to be curious to see what I did find interesting is in the comments of this particular story, an awful lot of people kept saying, "I'm waiting to see what Apple does. I'm waiting to see what Apple does."
Yep.
They kept saying it in the comments. I thought that was interesting because this is an article from Windows Central, and it's an article about Samsung, and it's an article about the old Duos.
Yep.
So it's interesting to see that people kept bringing up what Apple's going to do.
Right.
But it's definitely got some attention. You're now starting to see on YouTube the people that are starting to say, well, now that I've had it a few weeks, I start to see the holes in it and the things that it doesn't do. And they're now starting to come out with those kind of reviews finally.
And you will, yes.
And you will.
With every phone. This is going to be the same with the iPhone Fold or whatever it is that we end up calling it. It's going to be the exact same thing. Everybody's going to lose their mind and say it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And then they're going to go, wait a months later, you're going to get that feedback that says, it's great, but...
Well,
right.
Here's the thing I find interesting. And Larry, you brought up the Air earlier. And I think this is an important thing to kind of go back to because the Air had the initial reactions people had were really, really, really positive because it's a gorgeous piece of device and it's thin and it's light and it's balanced well and all that. And that was what everybody said. And then they went, well, but wait a minute. The battery isn't that great. But wait a minute. The camera isn't that great. But wait a minute. And then we had these negative kind of things going for a while.
Yeah.
And then people went, well, you know what? I can live with some of those compromises, and they kind of sliced back. And the reality is, the Air, even with its limitations and its challenges, which I think they'll overcome in the Air too, had sold better than what it replaced
It did.
in the lineup. It sold better. It's still selling better than what it replaced in the lineup. So was
And look at
Apple
all
a
the
success or a
articles
failure
that-
with it?
And look
I
at
would
all the
argue they were a
articles coming
success.
out now with people saying, "Hey,
And that's
you
what
know,
I'm
maybe I
saying.
was wrong about this."
They're coming back at it going, I can live with some of these compromises. And I said that, I've been saying that all along. You heard me say that all along. These are the compromises, and this one I can live with, this one I can't live with. That's me. But I
if
like
they
the
fix the
device.
top 3 compromises, which they say
think
they
they
will, they'll have
Yeah.
a device.
So I think the same thing. I think a very similar thing's going to happen with this foldable iPhone when it comes out. I think you're going to see, based on what I'm seeing with the Samsung, if there's similar compromises, and I suspect there will be similar compromises,
Right.
the camera's going to be a big one. Potentially the battery might be one, because Apple won't use silicone in their batteries yet for some reason. So their batteries are not the top line right now. But having said that, if people can live with that, that's great. I think some people will love it. I think some people will bash it. And then I think we'll get a version 2 that's,
Actually,
addresses a lot of
they're
that.
going to start using silicone in 2028.
I've heard that as well, but they're not doing it for this particular device, which would be a good time to have it.
It does
but-
look like it'll have the same camera they project for the Air 2, though.
I think so too. And the question was, will that be good enough for people? Because the camera that's in it now is not great. But if they go the one step further, which I think they need to do, that might be enough for most people, and they might be content with it for most people. We'll see. Well, we're going to know. We're going to know in another couple months. We're going to know. So there you go. So yeah, here it is. We're talking. Here we are. We're still flashing back to the Duos,
Surface Duo,
which tech people got it. Nobody else got it.
Nobody else got it. And by the way, that phone came out in 2021, right?
Yeah.
So
and I still love it. I still have one.
It's still
it's not my daily
right
driver
in front of me.
Not a Microsoft fan at all, but I love the last 2 phones they made.
Yep.
They really did. Yeah, they were good. They were interesting. So anyway, yeah, here we go.
It is. It's kind of cool. So anyway, the last thing that we're going to go ahead and address here in our mobile segment, it could have appeared in our AI segment, but I chose to actually put it down here because it really is talking about a couple of interesting developments. Gemini, and not the AI studio for Android and iOS that they announced earlier this year, is going to be used to create mobile and desktop apps. Now, Joel, what exactly does that mean?
It's a good question.
See, I think it means that on the desktop, all right, you're going to use Gemini. Gemini will be able to actually create those mobile and desktop apps. All right. There was going to be a separate application that was either going to be a
AI
desktop
Studio.
app, or it was going to be a mobile app, right? That either did it on Android or on iOS or on pick your desktop OS of choice.
Kind of like Gemini's version of Claude Code. It was going to be kind of like Gemini's version of Claude Code.
Yeah.
Well, basically the way it was supposed to work is you're supposed to capture an idea on the go and have a working prototype ready by the time you get to your desk.
You guys actually seen any of the apps created by Claude for iOS? I have.
They're probably garbage.
You know what? I would have said the same thing. They're actually very well done, depending on if you need them or not. But they're just another one of a million. But they're good enough that they pass Apple's vetting process. They're good.
Yeah.
How in the hell? I mean,
well, that's remember, coding is Claude's strength.
Yeah.
Claude Code is still considered the best of the best in terms of coding.
That is true.
It is.
That is true. And what was cool about the AI Studio for Android and iOS was that it was going to allow anybody to just very quickly describe, hey, create me an app that does this and make it for this platform or that platform or both platforms. Right.
You can do that with Gemini now.
And that's what they're saying. We're not going to do any more. Gemini does enough, and we're not putting any more money into
Right. Gemini,
a
Canvas,
separate
and
solution.
PWAs.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
which personal web apps, I believe.
So
So,
yeah.
I don't know. I kind of have a little bit of a problem with AI coding, mostly because who's going to maintain the code after it's done? That's the thing.
That's
And are
true.
you going to be able
Yeah,
to
and
understand the code that it
Yeah.
generates? Will it have comments that tells you what the code does?
So, yeah, right. And this is part of the problem. Having
Right.
an AI do the entire application. All right. You're going to have problems with code maintenance.
updates
All right, and updates and security patches and everything else. Number one. All right. Number two, you're also going to have a problem with distribution and release and getting it on and into the tool of your choice, whether it's Google Play or Test Flight or whatever it is for Apple or on the Apple App Store. You're going to have issues and concerns, like I said, with updates and you're going to have problems with testing. Oh my God, I did a little bit of this with ChatGPT and Gemini, and it was an absolute freaking coding nightmare. All right. It tended to get, despite the fact that you do it the right way, you create, a directives or a mandates file or markup file and tell it exactly what to do and how you want it done and how you want things delivered and packaged, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to ignore all of it at some point. All right. At least it did with ChatGPT and Gemini. All right. For me.
Yeah.
All right. And you end up telling it, look, you're the dev lead, I'm the test lead, and this is what you're supposed to do, and this is what I'm supposed to do, and this is how you're going to deliver things to me, and this is how the unit testing that I need you to do to be able to make certain that this thing doesn't. It's going to come back and it's going to tell you, yeah, I can't do all those tests.
Well, the other thing is, who's going to validate this? You can't have the development team validate the code, and you can't have the AI come back and validate its own code.
Well, that's one of the things why I was going cross platforms. If I would develop one build in ChatGPT, I would toss it over at Gemini and say, okay, go through, validate this code. Tell me where the problems are. All right. Tell me where the bugs are. Tell me where the issues are. And it absolutely just went bananas, and it couldn't do it. All right. Both platforms had problems and issues with code that was created.
Well, that might have been a competitive thing. It wasn't trained to you build it on one and try to validate it with the other.
Well, but the thing is with doing AI development for this and trying to maintain code over time, you have the same problems that you have. You don't have code repositories the same way.
No.
You don't have submission processes the same way.
I mean,
so
there's no way that an AI is going to get a GitHub account and do these things. There's just no way.
It's going to, and like Chris mentioned earlier, documentation is going to be a huge problem.
Yes.
It's got its whole set of challenges. And let's be honest, they're rushing to get to the finish mark. They're not thinking of, the bear dances, the tutu's still really ugly, kids. Okay. I mean, it really is.
Yeah. So this was a bit of a problem, and the great. I would love to be able to see if there's a separate GPT or separate sort of module for Gemini that's going to do this. I want to be able to see it. I want to play with it. I want to see how it differs from your standard Gemini. I want to be able to go ahead and see, how it does what it does, where it does what it does, what the issues and problems are, where I can go, where I'm going to bump into issues and problems, how the code is going to be stored. Do I have to maintain a repository on my own? Will it directly interface with GitHub or some other sort of repository? How is it going to check things in, check things out? Can I branch the code? Can I, work on bugs with this thing? And then will it regroup everything back together? Will it merge code back together? How is it all going to go ahead and do all this stuff?
The fact that it can write code doesn't mean the rest of the stuff around writing code is figured out.
Yes.
It's not there. It's just not there yet. But that'll be a while.
Quite.
Yeah.
It'll get there.
It's like, again, when we were in school, we remember we were talking about technological innovation, and then the socialization is about a generation behind every time. So guess what, kids? You can wait a generation and maybe they'll have this stuff figured out.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's what it does.
Yeah. So
What else we got?
We'll see. Well, that is the end of our mobile segment, and we're going to go ahead and come back with our Windows and Linux segment, but we're going to do that right after this brief message. Hi, this is Christopher Spera from iTechGear.org. I wanted to talk with you today about becoming a contributing donor to our site. iTechGear.org and our weekly podcast, the iTechGear Weekly, has been around for over 15 years, and the show is entering its 6th season in September of 2026. I've never actively asked for any kind of donations to the site. It's always been about me providing value to you. And everyone working with the site and the show is having a great time providing you with some of the best free content available from time-tested OG product reviewers, testers, site founders, and professional writers and editors on the internet. I truly believe our crew has some of the best and most qualified commentators on the internet today. However, times are really tough. And since the COVID-19 pandemic of 2020 to 2023, it's become increasingly difficult for small independent sites like iTechGear.org to stay afloat. I normally do this with a portion of my day job salary, but with the IT market so tight, it's sometimes difficult for many to make normal household ends meet, let alone fund a site and a podcast on their own. If you find any of our content on iTechGear.org or from the iTechGear Weekly of any value, I would genuinely appreciate it if you could make a donation of any amount to our efforts. All donations will go to site maintenance and hosting and to podcast hosting and everything iTechGear related. Donations can be made to my PayPal account at chris@iTechGear.org. Make a donation, and we'll immediately thank you on the next iTechGear Weekly episode and voice our gratitude. Thank you for your time and consideration. Now, let's get back to the latest iTechGear Weekly episode. And welcome back to the iTechGear Weekly, episode number 179, another free year for $30. And speaking of another free year for $30, let's get into our Windows and Linux segment and talk about that.
Let's do that. Let's do that.
Microsoft is giving us yet another year of free Windows 10 support, and it's only going to cost you $30 for the year. Free support, $30.
I'm just sort of shaking my head going,
what the hell?
How do those two
Sounds
things
like
equate?
a freaking carnival.
Well, again, so I'm laughing at two things. One is, first of all, the concept of free support and $30 in the same sentence. But just the notion that every time we turn around, Microsoft says, yeah, we're going to push this out one more year. We're just going to push it out one more year. And you know why they're doing that, kids? Can we all say it together why they're doing that? No one likes Windows 11.
Well, it's not that no one likes Windows 11. The reason for this is actually story number 2 in the Windows segment that I'm not going to bring up right now. But
that's the reason they don't like it.
Well, yeah, there are issues and problems with Issues 11, and we've talked about how many Microsoft Mistakeathons have we done this year.
By the way, we're going to call it that. We're not going to call it Windows 11. We're going to call it Issues 11, just like you said.
Issues 11. There you go. There you go. How many issues is Windows 11?
Wasn't that a movie with Matt Damon?
I was thinking the same thing, Chris.
Like
I can't think of it. Ocean's 11.
Issues 11. There we go.
Yeah, Ocean's 11 and Issues 11.
Guys, it is a big caper film. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And this is a big caper sort of operating system.
Exactly.
And the reason why Microsoft is acting, it's really simple to know and understand if you've been following the iTechGear Weekly or if you've been actually following any Windows news at all. You know exactly why they're offering yet another year of Windows 10 support. And it's because Windows 11
they're not moving.
Well, it's a freaking dumpster fire of support. How many freaking bugs? I mean, they went ahead and they quote unquote resolved 570 plus different
572
security holes and problems and bugs and issues in
one
July.
week, 1 week's build.
In July is part of for their Patch Tuesday. And how many things did they knock over? How many issues and problems did they create for themselves and for everybody else in the freaking world that's using Windows?
By the way, I heard this week they broke Dell. They broke some Dell computers.
Well,
I'm not
surprised.
I still want to know how you can have 572 things go wrong in 1 week.
Well, how can you accurately fix and test to make certain that they don't conflict and don't create other freaking problems
by not testing?
Right. 572 bug fixes, and make certain that 572 bug fixes in 1 month's Patch Tuesday don't create other issues or problems. That, my friends, and I've been in software testing for, almost 30 some years. You don't patch 572 problems without creating other problems and issues down the road.
No, they did.
You can't. It's statistically impossible. All right.
So let's chat a little bit about what this actually is and what it means. So we're getting the ESU program is the Extended Security Update Program.
Yep.
They're going to extend it till October 12th, 2027.
Yep.
For $30 if you want to pay for it. By the way, they announced at the same time they announced increases in Xbox console pricing between $100 and $150. Well, right, the same set of announcements.
So it was a fabulous announcement for them.
It was a fabulous announcement for Microsoft. As always, reading the room, Microsoft, reading the room.
Yes.
My goodness. But they were going to extend till 2027.
But don't worry about it. It's free, Chris. It's free.
It's for only $30. It's free. But you know what? You don't have to pay $30. You know what you can do? You can pay 1,000 Microsoft reward points. There you go. So you don't have to pay $30. So use your reward
or 1,000 reward points. Yeah.
That means you got to use Bing, though.
Yeah, that means you have to, in order to get those reward points, you actually have to use Bing as a search engine in order to get those. So
Microsoft is still dumping more into their 25H2 and 26H2 updates to try to fix Windows 11.
Right.
And let's point out that general updates are ending in August of this year. ESU will all be that's left. So. Let's point that out as well. And let's also mention that Windows 10 market share actually is starting to drop a little bit. It went from 35% to 23% of the Windows market is now that. That's still significant that 25% of the people are still sitting on Windows 10 or earlier, by the way, kids.
Well, yeah, that means that of all your Windows users, there's only 75% of your Windows users are using the operating system that's been around for
a number of years. Yeah,
when did Windows 5 years? For 5 years at least.
It's been a few years. I'm trying to remember how many years it's been since Windows 11 came out. But it's still they should have been past
5 years.
right?
October 5th, 2021. It came out.
There you go. 2021.
Right.
Yep.
So 5 years.
So we're 5 years into it.
It'd be 5 years in October, and if after 5 years you've only got 75% of your user base, and because let's say most of those users are enterprise users, all right, and I know that there's still a lot of folks that are out there, a lot of companies that are out there that are sticking with Windows 10 because Windows 11 has got too many freaking problems.
No, some of them are buying Neos. I'm here to tell you they are.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Some of them are.
I agree.
Now, let me point out that, so just by comparison, if you look at like iPhones and iOS, iOS 26 was one that a lot of people dragged their feet on and didn't want to go to.
Right.
We're now here we are a year down the road from that, right? A year down the road from that release. Not quite a year, and they're at 79% after a year.
After a year.
Yeah, after 1 year, they're at 79%.
After 1 year, they're at 79%. So 4%.
Not even quite
ahead
a year.
Of Microsoft after 5 for their desktop OS, which, by the way, is really the only OS that they have. So
that's all they got.
Yeah.
That's of all. By the way, that's of all iPhones, including ones that can't run it. So.
Yeah, no.
And they've gone to that, but the point is they're way behind in Windows. I mean, 5 years and you can't even get 75% support, really?
Well, if after 5 years of phone, if you've only got three-quarters of your entire user base or
Yeah.
your
Yeah,
entire
yeah, yeah.
install base running the platform, then that platform obviously has a problem. All
There's a
right,
problem. That's exactly right.
and let's go ahead and make the segue. It's really interesting,
Might as well.
and it is, I think, very very clear as to why it has a problem, especially when the CEO of the company says, "Yeah, yeah."
Sure.
And I saw this on WindowsLatest.com. Satya Nadella confirms Windows 11 needs serious "quote unquote" quality work, focusing on fundamentals. Man, when the CEO,
You
of,
think?
yeah, when the CEO of the company says that you've got quality problems on the operating system, on the operating system that is used by 90% of the companies that run the world, you've got a bigger problem than you think you do.
You know, a bigger problem is that CEO talked about these types of things on an earnings call. You don't talk about those things on earnings calls.
Oh, that would be exceptionally verboten. The last thing that you want to, you don't want your quality guy on your earnings call, because all the quality guy is going to talk to you about is the kind of problems that you have. You don't want that to happen there. So that's why me and my kind are never there.
But at the most recent earnings call for Microsoft, the CEO actually said, okay, we're down 4% on personal computing, and our OEM line, that's basically all of our Surface products, it's down nearly 8%. This is not a good thing for the Redmond Giant.
No.
I mean, he said during the call that in Windows, I quote, "We are going to invest to ensure that it has the best quality and fundamentals." Okay, well, let me give you some background. 2025.
Why didn't you do that 5 years ago, kids?
Yeah, 2025 was a really, really bad year for Windows 11. Microsoft knows this.
It was. We spun that wheel how many times?
All the promises they made to fix these same fundamental issues were issued in 2025, followed by updates that broke more things than they fixed.
Yep.
However, Nadella, being the numbers guy that he is, he's telling these people that we're going to fix all this. Mr. Nadella, this is lip service. I swear it is. It's more lip service. And
I wouldn't touch that with a 10-meter cattle prod. Honest to God, I want those lips nowhere near my booty. Okay? Honest to goodness.
It's just not the first time he's lied to us about this.
Well, and I said this before. My work computer is an HP running Windows 11.
Yeah.
And we tend to control the release of updates. We don't usually release them right when they first come out from Microsoft.
Sure.
And even so, it freaking borked my machine completely. And when I called it in and I got a senior level IT person, support person within our company, desktop support person in our company, his response to me was, "Oh yeah, that last update broke all the model of the same model you have. Everybody who had that model was broken." Really? And they just took it like this is a normal thing.
Right.
Does that tell you how often this must be happening? That they're taking it as a normal thing?
See, and this is where I think it's I'm calling bullshit. All right.
Well, if you go back
that's
4
what I
months, go back just 4 months, Nadella said, "We're going to fix it." That's when he made his first big global. Now,
sure, you're going to fix it.
The language is narrowed down to 2 words: quality and fundamentals, and everything's still broken. And this is why I said earlier, I promise you, I'd rather ride herd on 100 MacBook Neos than 1,000 Neos versus 100 Mac or Windows machines.
Well, the reason, and this is just me, all right? This is just me saying this, all right? I truly believe that Microsoft was more concerned about pushing that Copilot button in front of us and getting Copilot and their AI into everything under the Microsoft hood and Sun.
Yeah, that's when everything went to hell.
And right. They were more concerned about
All their
subscription
resources,
pricing
Chris, were
and
focused on
subscription rates
Copilot.
than they were about quality of the software. And the problem is, you are not going to drive subscription rates up. You're not going to drive adoption rates up when you've got shitty software on the market. You're just not going to do it.
I would argue it's not just about the Copilot push, although that was certainly the most obvious part of it. It was about the push to services.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just Copilot. They were pushing you to OneDrive, and they rewrote Explorer, they rewrote Backup to force you to OneDrive. They rewrote, a whole bunch of stuff to force you to services.
Windows Recall.
Recall. Everything was pushing you to services. It wasn't just about Copilot.
Right.
And they understood that. They learned that because they said, well, gee, Apple's doing it on iOS and Google's doing it on Android, and it's working real well for that push to services.
iCloud works and OneDrive doesn't.
And OneDrive doesn't work.
Well, no, it works, but there's a definite difference in the level of quality and the level of reliability.
It may work on Windows, but it works like crap.
Well, there's a whole different level of reliability when you're talking, iCloud versus OneDrive.
I think also it's the operating system on a Windows machine. OneDrive might work.
I would argue that it doesn't. It used to.
You run into the same freaking problems on Windows
but
that you do
half the
on
files I
Mac.
try to back up on OneDrive, it's why I quit. Oh, we can't take that file name. We can't take that file name. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because it's all based on the old DOS models for those things. But it's a terrible mess.
No,
awful.
Honestly,
but there's more to it than that. Yeah,
there is. But you've got a huge freaking problem when you're more concerned about sales than you are about platform reliability. And this is where I have the biggest problems. This is where I have the biggest problems with Microsoft. They're more concerned about making a sale than they are about retaining that sale.
This is why Windows no longer runs under 8 gig of RAM anymore very well. This is why, Explorer is like 3 times as slow as it used to be, and on and on and on. You can list all these problems.
Kind of a good segue right there too.
Yeah,
it is.
So it's a huge freaking problem, which pulls us into, like you said, Larry, our next story, which is Microsoft. It's making Windows 11 better and faster on 8 gigabyte PCs, and
they say they are.
Yeah,
and again, I'm calling bullshit.
Well, at least Apple has proven to us, and I didn't even think Apple could do this, but Apple has proven that you can do so much more with 8 gigs of RAM that I ever thought was possible just with that Neo. And according to I think this is what this is all about. Microsoft sees what Apple did with the Neo, and they said, we have got to fix this problem.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't even fix it mainstream.
What's interesting, Larry, is it wasn't even a couple of years ago. They were selling 4 gig RAM Windows machines out there. All of a sudden, we needed 16 gig to run smoothly. What the crap happened in the middle? Well, they redid all the core apps. That's what happened. That was a big part of it.
Well, they added AI into everything.
And they added AI into everything.
They added AI into everything and required more memory and more processing power than
but all of the background service layers are what dragged us here. And it's unfortunate, but that's what they did.
There are 3 things. I'm going to bring these 3 things up, and everybody remember them. All 4 of us, let's remember these 3 things that Microsoft is going to do, because I'm like Chris Spera. I think it's all bullshit. It's never going to happen. But according to Microsoft, number 1, we're going to focus on hardware. We're going to prioritize, I'm going to quote, prioritize the 8 gigs of RAM on all those systems that have it. We're going to ensure that these devices will run fast and be responsive. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, we're going to optimize the core OS. That would be the same OS that we can't even make work. We're going to optimize all the core OS components, including all of the memory allocators, WinUI 3 and web views, to consume less RAM. And for those of you who don't know what that means, it means that what you see will look nicer, present faster, and use less memory. And another bullshit point. Third one, beyond RAM, recently quality updates also improved start menu speed, file explorer navigation, and printer and Bluetooth reliability. Here we go again. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to. And if they do fix these things, you Windows users will have Apple to thank because they're the ones that introduced the Neo that does perfectly with only 8 gigs of memory.
It scared the crap out of everyone.
Yeah. And it runs circles around some Windows 16 gig machines.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man up, Microsoft.
Right. When to expect it? We needed the second Thursday of last week.
Yeah.
We needed
been nice.
We needed the second January of last year. All right. Honest to goodness. Oh how the mighty have fallen. Right? I mean, honest
very
to goodness,
disappointing.
Had they not been mighty, they would have fallen to their death had they been a normal company.
And I want to point out something because Chris and I go back in this business a long time now.
We do.
And we actually were fans of a lot of what Microsoft was doing back in the day. So what I'm getting at is that folks hear us complaining on here about them, and they assume that we've always been kind of anti-Microsoft, and we're not really anti-Microsoft.
No.
We want them to
worked
succeed.
Out there. My God.
We want them to succeed, and this is just so disappointing to all of us. I think that they're not.
Well,
they're not doing the right thing.
WUGNET Publications, Larry. I wrote for WUGNET, worked with you, and wrote for WUGNET Publications for over 17 years.
I mean, honestly, they paid a good portion of our bills for 16 years in that company.
Absolutely.
So I just want to point out. I just want to point out, guys, that we're not. We're actually.
It's a different Microsoft. That's the
it
problem.
is, and you're hearing our disappointment, not our abject hate.
We're not jumping on it just because we're annoyed with what's happening right now.
We're disappointed.
We're disappointed
in 6 months from now, if all the 8 gig Windows machines start working perfectly, I'll be so happy. I really will.
Yeah, that's something I'd be happy to be wrong about.
You know, honest to goodness, when you can go and take my Surface Book 3, when my Surface Laptop Studio and my Surface Pro 9, 5 to 7 years from now, when you can go ahead and make them continue to run with the same level of reliability that you have a Mac Neo running, working today. Okay, I will then take back everything that I'm saying now. You got it together. Fabulous. Good on you, Microsoft. You turned it around. And I will stand in the middle of Town Square and on Main Street, USA, and say it to everybody and anybody that is willing to stop and look up and say, yeah, tell me, Chris, let me hear you say it. I'm waiting on you. Come on, say it. And I will tell you, you did a great job, Microsoft. I don't have any problems giving praise to somebody who got it together and turned it around.
Get it together. Yep. It just hasn't.
Chris, I'm glad you made that
hasn't
point
happened.
Because it's so true. We all started with Microsoft. All
absolutely.
of us.
Back in the day.
Because Apple was really more of a niche
graphics
of platform back in the day. It was really for graphic artists, desktop publishers.
Well, and education. It did well in education.
And education back in the day. Nowadays, it's for anybody that wants to compute, that wants to be able to get crap done and doesn't have to worry about the stuff that was working last week failing today because they applied an update. Does that happen? Will it happen on the Mac side? Sure. Of course it is.
I know these things happen on a Mac, but guys, in all honesty, I have been using a Mac for 22 years maybe, and I have never, ever had a Mac crash, like a blue screen crash.
No.
Never.
No.
I buy a new one every year, so
let me point out when you're using betas, it's a little different. But if you're not using the beta,
I'm talking about the main operating system.
I've never had a major problem like that over the years.
All right.
I've seen little things. I've seen little things go
something
stupid.
That's called the blue screen of death. When it's nicknamed the blue screen of death, and you say those words, and everybody knows immediately exactly what you mean.
Wait a minute.
There's a problem.
Wait a minute. They fixed it. They made it the black screen of death.
Now it's the black
shut
screen.
Up.
They fixed
Honest
it.
to goodness.
They fixed the blue one.
Yeah, it's now blue is now black. Now you're black
Now
and
it's
blue.
black.
You know,
Black is the new blue.
Yeah. So, honest to goodness,
Yeah.
when everybody knows what exactly what you're saying, exactly what you're talking about, because they've experienced it and they have firsthand experience to actually fall back on and say, yeah, I remember when that happened to me, and I was in the middle of this big thing, right? And it happened, or I was doing this and it happened, or I was tried to save this and it wouldn't, and I lost it all, or whatever. There's a problem, and I'm certain that everybody listening to this and their brother and their brother's neighbor's dog has a similar war story or horror story about Windows.
It's true.
I'm certain.
Many of them.
You know, so
well, and we've always said, we've talked even in the early days, even as much as we liked it. The Windows driver model has always been a problem. The registry model has always been a problem. These have always been challenges that they could have worked on that they didn't work on back in the day. That would have helped some of these kinds of things. But despite those flaws,
they could have done to actually fix the problem.
But despite those flaws, they had a lot to offer, and we were all very much fans of that.
Exactly.
And without them, we wouldn't be here today. Really, we wouldn't.
It really is true. It is absolutely true.
So, all right.
Let's talk about happier stuff now.
Let's talk about tip of the week.
Yeah,
all right. Let's go to the tip of the week. Did you know that that iTechGear was founded with the intent of making technology easier for everyone to use and understand, and that this team has specifically dedicated their careers to that specific purpose? So every week, iTechGear Weekly is going to feature a new computing tip authored by one of our experienced editors. If you got questions, requests, suggestions, comments, or yay, dare I say, ideas, you can send all of that information over to tips@itechgear.org. And if we use your bit on the air, we're going to give you your 15 seconds worth of fame. This week, kids, I've got another awesome Mac tip. And to actually go ahead and use this, you ain't got to do a thing. All right. All you've got to do is log into your Apple account in order to use the universal clipboard across all of your devices. Did you know that if you're using multiple Apple devices, iPhone, iPad, Mac, all right, it's got a universal clipboard, all right, and it just works. It saves time. It saves, and it's just there. You can copy text, images, or links on your Mac and then paste them on your iPhone or iPad or vice versa, or any combination thereof. No extra setup steps required. All you have to do is log into your Apple device. All you have to do is log into your Apple account on that device. So as long as you're signed in, all right, and you have Bluetooth and Wi-Fi enabled, it just works. No setup, no muss, no fuss, no runs, no drips, no errors. All right.
Chris, and testimonial, I use this every day of my life.
Absolutely.
Every day.
Absolutely.
Me too.
This is especially useful for workflows that span devices. You can copy a link from your phone, paste it into a document on your Mac, grab text from your Mac and drop it into a message on your iPad. It's just there. It eliminates the need for emailing yourself, using messaging apps, or relying on cloud storage for quick transfers. It's one of those things that the ecosystem just does. It may look and feel small until you realize how often you're going to use it.
It's one of those things. Go ahead, Chris.
Well, one place I find myself using it is in when you're using multi-factor authentication. If you're doing one that does like an SMS or it sends it to you in an email.
Yep.
And yeah, my email might be on my iPhone, and yet I'm pasting it on my Mac.
Yep.
It's like, I don't even have to think about it.
One of the features that falls under the one word that I think sums up Apple the best: ubiquity.
Yeah.
It's just, that's one word that it does perfectly. Everything.
Right. Right now, we may seem and sound very, very, very pro Apple. And I think it is largely to do with what we were just talking about in our Windows and Linux segment. There are so many issues and problems on the Microsoft side that they're almost like a leper at this point.
Well, like you said, though, Chris,
you just want to get away from them as far as you can.
Some of that stuff got fixed. we'd probably be changing our tunes and looking at different things and
Absolutely.
mixing our things up
it was
more.
only like 3 or 4 years ago that or less.
You
I
know,
got rid of my last Windows machine.
so
You
the point is
guys,
this stuff can change on a moment's notice. All you got to do is make
Oh,
something
the
better all of a
technology business
sudden.
changes on a dime every day, every week. I
Yeah.
mean, just look at
So
what's going on with AI. I mean, honest to God.
Yeah. So everything we say can be different tomorrow, but this is what we think
and
at the
the
moment.
other thing that I will say that Windows is at a slight disadvantage because they have to deal with so many multiple manufacturers. Apple does not.
Nope.
One
But
company,
you know what, Larry?
one.
And
You
this
know what
is
they could
why.
have done,
And this is
though?
why Steve. This is specifically why Steve didn't want to license the operating system to anybody.
And I was going to say, if you're going to license it, if you're going to do that,
Yeah.
you need to put bumpers around what people do. You need to put standards. And Windows didn't do that for a
Do
very
that,
long
no.
time
Yeah.
at all. They did.
No.
They started to do it later. You have to have the security chip. Oh, you
Well,
have to have this.
that's almost a little too, a little too little.
But it was too
late.
little, too late. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my point. So
Yeah.
had they done that, this wouldn't be as big a mess today as it
I
is.
agree. I agree.
But more,
100%.
it's more about the crap that we've been talking about that they shoved in
Absolutely.
recent times more than anything.
Absolutely. And
More
that,
about
kids,
that.
is this week's tip of the week.
Yep.
And I want to move us to our pick of the week segment. But before we get to this, the actual pick, I want to take a moment to remind our listeners that our show picks are typically hardware, software, and other items of interest that we have individually purchased and that we actually use and that we like enough that we want to recommend them to you, our growing listener base. These are not paid advertisements or anything that we have any kind of affiliated marketing relationship with. If they were, the editorial policy over at iTechGear.org states that we have to let you know about that up front. These are just sincerely things that we believe in that we want to bring to you at the end of each show. Why, Joel?
Because we like you.
That's it. Now, what do you got? You've got this week's pick, Joel. What do you got?
Yep. Well, as people who listen know, like I do these things like the Mammoth March and, of course, foot racing now.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things I was kind of looking for is something that would fit into... I have this thing called a Ruse Sport, which I probably should bring as a pick too. But anyway, so I wanted to find something that would fit my ID, credit cards, stuff like that, into that instead of my normal wallet, which won't fit in it. Okay. So I got this it's very, very similar to a wallet that begins with an R and ends with an E called the Ridge wallet.
Uh-huh.
But it's a whole lot cheaper. Okay.
Yes. Ridge Wallet can be
whole lot.
ungodly expensive.
Oh my God.
Yes.
They
I
are.
can't believe what they want for those things.
They want like $150.
Yeah.
It's really, after you put a money clip and
Mm-hmm.
a Apple tag
If you-
spot on
if you
it,
really
and
need
you
an Apple
spend
tag in
$150.
it. But yeah.
How much are we talking about here?
$27.97.
Shut the front door.
Yeah. So this is very, very similar to the Ridge wallet. It does come with a little screwdriver to adjust, the screws and stuff in it. Mine's a carbon fiber variant.
The one with the money clip, right?
It's probably, yeah. And it's probably fake carbon fiber. It's not really made out of carbon fiber. But it does have RFID blocking. One thing I did find out, because I do have a key to my church building, and it's one of those RF keys. And if the RF key is in this, you cannot open the door. You have to pull it out. So, and it fits everything. All my cards fit in there. If I need a little cash, I stick it in the clip. And this fits right inside the main pocket in my Ruse Sport. Or like, for example, right now I've got a pair of hiking shorts on, and it's got like kind of like one of those side entry pockets.
Well, this is also going to fit in your front pocket, right? This is going to fit in your front pocket without a doubt.
Yeah.
Joe, quick question. Will that clip come off? Can you unscrew something and make the clip go away?
That's a good question.
Can you take? You should be able to. I mean, you can get it with a cash strap. You don't have to have it with a clip. You can get it with a cash strap.
Well, you can.
I don't carry cash. I
Ridge.
don't want it. I want just a wallet.
Let me see. Let me open it up. You probably could. Let me see.
I'm pretty sure you probably can.
If the clip went on, the clip's got to come off, I would think.
Yeah. There is a way. I know at least on the
screws
wallet.
on
That's
the
right
top.
on
Oh, Joel
ours.
said yes. Okay, good enough.
There you go.
Yeah, there's screws at the top. You should be able to. I'm not going to do it because I use them.
And then put the screws back in the hole, and it'll look like it never was there, probably.
Right.
Right.
Probably. But
I'm ordering this puppy.
But see, I mean, I I have
Yeah.
$1 in
Yeah.
there right now.
Yeah,
But
so I mean,
you know,
if for whatever reason you've got to carry some cash, probably not a bad idea. You want to
but it's
make sure you hang on to that business card that you get from that restaurant or that friend
That's
that you
not
bumped
thin
into.
though. I mean, that's with all my wallet, all my cards in there has all my credit cards, my work ID.
That's about
Yeah,
3/4 to an inch thick,
yeah.
How many
Which is
cards will it hold?
as
I
many
don't
as you
know.
want.
As many as that elastic will let you.
Oh, okay, I
Uh,
got it. I got
but
it.
so yeah, I mean, but for $27, I legit, I would like to get a Ridge. Because the Ridge wallets are very. I'm not disputing that the Ridge wallets aren't very nice. But this is a whole lot cheaper, and to be
Yeah.
honest, I probably don't really think I'm gonna go to a Ridge
Yeah,
now because I use
and
this
I
all
will
the
tell
time.
you that there's enough variety here in terms
Yes,
of
colors and
colors
other things.
and
Yeah,
patterns and whatever is here that you can get what you want the way you want it.
even got one with wood. A wood.
Yes,
Is it made out of wood? Let me see. Is it actually made out of
I
wood?
I don't know if it's
No,
actually
it's made
made,
out of aluminum. So, but the color is walnut wood.
but it has got
So
a wood grain paint on it.
finish. Yeah.
Yeah,
So wood grain
you
finish on
can
it.
get a few ridges for less than 100, but most of them start at 95.
Yep.
Good ones.
Right. This one's $27, and you're gonna beat the living crap out of this thing, and it's still gonna work.
Yep.
It's
I
not gonna fall
mean,
apart.
nope. And it's
So
perfect for me because, like I said, it'll fit. Even if I didn't have the Roo Sport with me, uh, I could probably fit it. Like if my shorts have a zippered pocket, it will fit in that
yeah.
Hey,
zipper
here's a
pocket.
cool thing, Joel. If you go on to Amazon, I just did,
Yep.
type in Ridge Wallet, you're on the Ridge Wallet page with all the Ridge wallets. Guess
Yeah.
what the number one Amazon overall pick is? Your
This one.
wallet. Yep.
This one.
That's
And
funny.
Yeah.
this is from who makes this? Was it
Havenhurst is
Henshurst?
that's yeah. Havenhurst is
Havenhurst.
the name that's on it. But by the way, if you wonder what a Roo Sport is, I put the link in the chat there. So that's kind of what it's got enough space for my phone, my keys, and even my big ass Google Pixel 9 Pro
There you go.
XL
There you
will fit
go.
in that
And the
thing.
other giveaway is they sell about 700 Ridge wallets every month on Amazon. They
Yep.
Easy.
sell 2,000 of these a month.
Uh-huh.
See, that's crazy.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Ridge wallets. I mean, yeah. MKBHD might advertise them and all that stuff, but it's like, like the cheapest Ridge I found was the Slim Minimal. There's one for $69, and it's like
Right.
white, like
Then they go up to 94 after that.
yeah, and that's the one with the little strap on it
Right.
and all that. And like I said, I'm not disputing that they're not very nice, and Ridge does have some
Sure they do. Yeah.
colorways that
They
I'm
got a lifetime
finding.
guarantee and all that.
Yeah,
But
I'm
but
finding
they're
very
they're $100
attractive.
to start, man. This is
Right.
a third of that price.
Yep. Yeah, well,
You
the
don't
one I
have any
really
money
like.
left to put in the clip after that.
Yeah, I was gonna say the one I really like is the what's the color they call on this one? Burnt titanium. It's $150 freaking dollars.
Yeah, I mean that's
And they do have I will say, Rich does have them with MagSafe connections on it. So there's that if you like the Ridge. But I'm not. I don't. I'm not gonna go spend
This
money.
thing's got like a gazillion colors. It's got about 10 or 12, it looks
Yep.
like.
yeah, I mean it's gonna be next to impossible to
Mm-hmm.
seriously to pass on a deal like this. If you're in the market
No.
for a Ridge wallet of some type,
Go with this, man.
then this is you're gonna want to look at this hard.
Yep.
You really are.
I mean, I love it. It like I said, fits. I ran with it when I did the Darby Creek Trail Race. I mean, it fit in the Roo Sport, and I was happy. And I didn't have to, because don't get me wrong. I could probably just carry my key, my car key, and my ID only. But if I'm running someplace and then all of a sudden I want to pop in, like maybe grab a Starbucks or something on the run, I can do it.
Sure you
Well, actually,
can.
I could do that anyway because I got my phone with me. But still, Because I have the app on my phone. Because I'm full on into the Starbucks. In fact, I had lunch there today. But so it's good stuff.
Yeah.
And I
All
like the
right.
fact that they have these alternatives out here because, let's face it, Ridge stuff it is nice and all that, but they really didn't invent it when you think about it. But anyway, so cool.
Very true, very true, very true. All right, kids. Well, that's the pick, and that is the show. This has
That's
been
it.
the iTechGear Weekly, episode number 179. Another free year for $30. Recorded live Sunday, August 2nd, 2026, live from iTechGear Central for Mr. Chris Gavula, Brother Joe McLaughlin, and Dr. Mr. Larry McJunkin. I want to say, hey, we will see you next time.